So, you want to play university volleyball in the UK, but feel like you need a little bit more information. Lucky for you, I have the answers to your questions. But why would you listen to me? Well, my name's Alex Chinnery. I'm one of 3 full-time university volleyball coaches in the UK. As such, I have a unique understanding of the game at all levels in the university scene. Currently, I'm the head coach of the University of Essex Women and the Essex Rebels in the Volleyball England Super League. And in this video, we will touch on volleyball from the very highest level of university performance program, like ours at Essex, to participation sessions for those picking up a volleyball for the first time. The UK has 6 volleyball performance programs. Whilst they're all similar, they have differences in the coaching staff, facilities, and way they operate. Most performance programs will recruit into the program. So that means the coaches will invite players to be a part of their performance program. They'll either contact you because they've seen you play at an interregionals, at last eights, or in the MVL, and they'll be looking for athletes with that kind of experience, with that top junior level experience, with experience in the National Volleyball League and playing adult volleyball there, or athletes that have been involved with the England Junior National Team program. But that process is a little bit different to normal. So the coaches will either reach out to you or you will need to reach out to them via email. All 6 of the performance programs in the UK have a link to an MVL team, with most playing in the Super League. There are differing costs associated to this, with almost all programs charging at least a nominal fee to participate in their MVL and Super League or Super League programs or teams. Those fees can range from £50 to just over £100. The only exception to this is our program at Essex, as far as I'm aware, where Super League participation is included for all performance athletes. The most successful program in recent times is Durham. They won the Bucks National Championships for both men and women the last 2 seasons. Their women's program is coached by Paul Welsh and Ross Enfield, who are both part-time coaches. Their men's program does not have a coach at the minute. It's run as a student-run club. Their recruitment is mainly centred around bringing in postgraduate athletes from the USA. I say mainly, it's not totally based around that, but mostly has been postgraduate athletes from the USA. Whilst there have been and there are opportunities for undergraduates from the UK, historically they've been very, very limited. Having part-time coaches means there are limited opportunities for focused development compared to the programs that have full-time coaches. However, you do have a lot of great mentors in the American postgraduate athletes that come over. So there are opportunities, and British undergraduates have had success at Durham in the past. You look at Alice Brand, who went to Durham, won her first senior national team cap whilst she was there, and has now gone on and continues to play in the Volleyball England Super League and for the England women's national team. The next 2 programs to talk about are Essex and Nottingham, and I mention them together because they're both quite similar, although they do also have their differences. Both have made national championship games with their women's teams in the past couple of years and won the national championship with their men's teams in the past few years. Both programs have more of a focus on developing British athletes, pairing those British athletes with a smaller contingent of American or European postgrads, and both have full-time coaches. Nottingham has one full-time coach, Freddie Fairburn, who has worked with the England national team in both indoor and beach, and with Issa and Freddie on the beach side as well. Whilst at Essex we have 2 full-time coaches, me with the women's program and former Team GB captain Alex Porter, who coaches our men's team. Full-time coaches typically allow for more time to be spent on athlete development alongside preparing the team to win matches. Almost all undergraduate athletes will need time to develop to reach the top level of university volleyball. You won't go in and start as a first year. You won't be strong enough, you won't be experienced enough, and you probably won't have the technical ability to play at that top level of the Super League. You just have to ask yourself, how many 17-year-olds are there playing in the Super League? Not many. So prioritising your best place to go and develop may be a key factor in choosing your new home for volleyball. The final 3 performance programs are Newcastle, UEL and Bournemouth. They're all similar with part-time coaches and a mixed philosophy. I would say Newcastle have probably taken a step above the other two in the last year, with Sam Shenton driving that program forward. And they've all historically taken undergraduate athletes from the UK and mixed them with a handful of American postgrads. In the past, all three have been very heavy with Americans, but are now more open to bringing in UK undergraduates to develop. All three have strong coaching pedigree. Like I mentioned, Shent's up at Newcastle as the junior boys coach with the England junior national team pathway. Jefferson, Williams and Ian Legrand at UEL have bucket loads of experience and are still up there as some of the top coaches in the UK right now. And at Bournemouth, Louis Lett, the voice of beach volleyball, is bringing a fresh energy to that program down there at BU. All of the programs that I've just mentioned play in the Bucks Premier Conference, following Bournemouth women and Newcastle men's promotion back into the conference last season. This is the top competition for UK universities. Only universities in the Bucks Premier Conference can play for the national championship at the end of the year. Most of these universities offer scholarships. These can range from a cash bursary to money off your tuition fees or accommodation. These scholarships range in value. At the very low end, you may get £250 to £500 in cash bursary, right up to getting a full fee waiver. However, scholarship value is just one thing you should consider. There are so many other factors around picking where you go to university, especially if you're picking to go to a performance university. You're committing to going to that place for 3 years and studying there for 3 years as well as playing volleyball. It's very, very hard to transfer to a different university in the UK. The place itself, the relationship with the coach, your route to playing time and what the coach says about your route to playing time, and most importantly, the educational fit are all incredibly important where you're picking to go. You've also got to live in that place for 3 years. So it's got to be somewhere that you feel at home and you feel comfortable on a campus or in a city that you feel like you can live in over the long term. There are 4 or 5 universities that I would call performance adjacent. These are universities that compete in Bucks Premier or Bucks Tier 1, have a solid coaching structure, and at least 2 training sessions a week and some provision for strength and conditioning or sports psych. The premier name probably at the top of this category and someone that and a program that people may be disappointed that I didn't put as a performance program is Northumbria University. It's a program that's had a little bit of a dip in the last few years, but is now starting to come back up again in terms of its offering. I'd also count UCL, University College London, Bristol, Imperial College London and Derby sort of in this group of performance adjacent universities with strong coaching in the Bucks Prem. Down in Tier 1 there's even more universities. The University of Loughborough has solid coaching on the men's and women's sides, and as a general rule the bigger London universities also often have relatively strong teams with links to London League and MVL teams. You think of names like King's and Brunel, City University all have relatively good volleyball programs that have had good coaches in the past and have strong sort of player-led teams down there, and some links, as I say, to MVL teams and to London League teams as well. The first part of this video has focused on the performance end of the spectrum, but university volleyball is far bigger than just performance volleyball. Most universities will have a team. Usually it's best to check with the University Athletic Union or the Student Union, depending on whether the university has an athletic union, as to what that club looks like or what that team looks like. And your experience will differ with each one. Some of these non-performance programs will have a coach, some will be more student-led, some will have 2 or 3 training sessions a week, some will have 1 training session a week. Your experience will be varied with every single one. There are Bucks competitions for all ability levels. and whilst bigger universities may also run what we call intramural tournaments, in which you compete against other universities or other students, in your university. So, like the University of York and Nottingham University both have huge intramural tournaments that they run, that allow you to play good competitive volleyball without even having to leave campus. When looking for your university, if you're looking at a program that doesn't have a performance program, the tier in bucks that they're in is a pretty good standard in terms of competition. Pretty good idea. It gives you a pretty good idea in terms of competition. Bucks tier 1 is a good kind of intermediate level competition. So if you're a sort of good intermediate into experienced level player, look for the universities that are kind of in Bucks tier 1, whilst sort of tiers 2 and 3 are where your lower intermediate or beginner athletes should really focus in terms of getting playing time. Most big universities will have 2 teams at least. Some will have 4 or 5 if you look at Nottingham, and some of the other bigger universities out there will have a lot of teams for you to play in, whilst so your medium universities will have 2 teams, and some of the smaller universities will only have 1 team. For the majority of these sort of non-performance volleyball teams, volleyball is a more social pursuit. It doesn't mean they're not going to play and train hard and try and be the best they can be. It means that you're going to have those opportunities to experience university sport in the more traditional way. You're going to have your socials, your themed nights out, your chance to go and bond with a new group of people when you move to this new university. And there's something massive to be said about that. The easiest way to make friends when you go to university, if you're interested in sport, is to join a sports club. Why not make volleyball that sports club? Often campus universities will have better facilities than city universities, who often have to rent local hall space. This is not 100% correct. There are some city universities that have great facilities as well. However, I would look at make sure you go and see the facility. If you're interested in playing volleyball, go and see the sports hall facility that university uses. Make sure it's a good facility. Make sure it's somewhere that you want to commit to playing 3 years of volleyball in. UK universities have the best facilities in the country. If you love playing volleyball, this is probably the best facility you'll play in, whatever level you go to. Especially on some of the campus universities. You look at universities like University of Warwick, University of Nottingham, University of Durham, Newcastle, Northumbria, us at Essex, University of Kent. There's loads of different places that have phenomenal sports facilities. Loughborough, very, very similar. These are going to be the best facilities you probably ever play in terms of volleyball career, unless you're going to go and play professionally, unless you're going to go and play internationally. So make sure you take advantage of that while you can. Go get involved in UK university sport. If you want to play on a performance program, you'll find contact details for the coach on the performance sports section of that university's website. When you go to email that coach, I'm telling you from experience, the more detail, the more information you put in that email, the better chance you have of having that coach reach out to you. During the season, we are incredibly busy with games on a Wednesday to prepare for, games on a weekend to prepare for, daily training sessions, sometimes twice daily training sessions. Most weeks, normal weeks during the season, I probably only sit at my desk for about 10 hours, if that. So if you send me an email with no information in it, I then have to reach back out to you and wait for you to reply. It's so much easier if you send an email to the coaches with a highlight video. Make sure you check the description below for my video on how to put one together and what annoys me about how people put highlight videos together. As much information about you, your volleyball goals, your volleyball history, your education goals as possible. If you have, make sure you put your height in the email as well. Make sure you put your spike touch, your block touch, if you have those numbers and they're legitimate and reliable. And then most coaches will turn around and set up a Zoom call to talk you through the process of applying at their university. Not all universities are the same. Every university has its own quirks and its own differences in in the ways of doing things. But for most performance programs, you'll kind of want to begin this process after cup finals in your U17 season. Interregionals is like a big recruiting event for performance programs. I'm there every year with East. Freddie usually pops down from Nottingham. Usually pops down. Sam Shenton from Newcastle is usually there with Northeast. So that's a really good time if you've contacted the coaches before the U17 interregionals. It's a really good time for those coaches to see you in person. However, you won't have to make a decision on where you go until the March of your U18 season. So starting early is great because you get to have that long conversation, really get to know the coach, go and visit, potentially go for a session and see and take part and feel what it's like to live life at these performance universities as an athlete. And then when you come to make your decisions, you can do in and around that March time. Non-performance programs, if you don't want to go the performance route, they mostly will have tryouts in the first week or two of term to determine their team. They usually take place in and around the Welcome Week or Freshers Week for that university, and you can contact again the athletic or the student union for that university or the club itself via social media. Most university teams have an Instagram account and they'll be able to give out trial information there. Usually around this time of year is when the trials are taking place, and you'll see it peppered over all of the different university volleyball Instagram accounts that they're having tryouts and where to go and kind of the information for it. For any university volleyball team, you apply to attend university through UCAS as normal. But if you're going to the performance side of things, make sure you contact the coach before doing so, as some universities will be able to give you priority in terms of time for your application to be read if you're a potential sports scholar, and be able to say to get you that answer nice and quickly. And also it's just best practice to let the coach know that you're considering their university before you put that application in. Whereas if you're on the non-performance side, just apply through UCAS as normal. Turn up, go to the trials and get involved in the club from there. So there we are. There is all you need to know about UK university volleyball in the UK. With such a diverse range of offerings, everyone can be catered for. There is so much potential and so many different things that you can go out and achieve, whether that's part of the Volleyball England HEVO programme, going to Student Cup, or competing for a national championship, or just playing intramural volleyball against your friends. There's so much opportunity out there within volleyball, within university volleyball. UK university volleyball changed my life. It allowed me to go and become a professional volleyball coach. It could do amazing things for yours as well. I implore you to get involved.